The concept for today is going to be corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. And so we're always just going to abbreviate that with Cpctc. And so this builds on what we did yesterday. And so if you can say that two triangles are congruent, what that means is every single one of those corresponding parts are also congruent. So going back to 2 days ago when we talked about listing the corresponding parts and that they were all congruent, and so on a triangle, it has 3 sides and 3 angles, and if the triangles are congruent, then all 3 sides and all 3 angles are congruent. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how you can use that then to say that parts of triangles are congruent after proving congruence using other pieces and parts of those same triangles. Okay? So here we have a set of triangles, so for part A. And first of all, we need to write a congruent statement and decide how we can tell these two triangles are congruent. And then after that, we're going to use Cpctc to say that these two angles are congruent. So looking at this, I'm going to label it. I see that there's this angle here and this angle, and then I also see that this middle piece, QS, is also a part of both triangles, okay? So we have an angle, and then the next side. So I can say that triangle QTS is congruent to triangle SRQ, and that's by angle, side similarity. Then we can also make this statement that angle QST is congruent to angle SQR by Cpctc, because that's what we were asked. But those angles are not labeled. QST, so this angle right here, we can now say is congruent to this angle here because we know that those two triangles are congruent by angle, side congruence. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this next one. We have this angle, we have a side, and then we also have these angles in the middle that are vertical angles. So now we have angle, side, angle, and the same angle, side, and angle. So we know those two triangles are congruent. So first I'm going to write a congruent statement. Congruent statement of triangle YZA is congruent to triangle BCA by angle, side, angle congruence. So that's what we practiced yesterday. And then we can make this statement inside, say that side ZA is congruent to side AC by Cpctc. Okay, so again, to use the Cpctc, the statement before it, or a statement before it, needs to be a statement of congruence using one of our theorems or postulates from yesterday. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, this one here, we have these two triangles, and we have this angle, and then we have this side in the middle that's a part of both triangles, and then the same angle. So we know, again, this is just identifying congruence. So triangle GFH is congruent to triangle EHF by, and again it's angle, side, angle. Then I can say that side HE is congruent to FG by Cpctc. Okay, I'm going to do this next one, part D. So we have an angle right here in the middle of two sides. So we have side, angle, side, side, angle, side. So we know that triangle BEG is congruent to triangle FEG by side angle side. Okay, and then we can say FG is congruent to DG by Cpctc. Okay, let's try a few more. Again, so we're just looking at these triangles, trying to decide how they're congruent. And I'm looking here and I see that these are vertical angles. And so I'm saying angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. So triangle HJK is congruent to triangle MLK by angle, angle, side. Congruence. So then we can say that side JK is congruent to KL by Cpctc. So that's this side that wasn't labeled. We are now saying that. So again, it's something that's not labeled that we can figure out and say that it is congruent once we've proved those two triangles are congruent to each other. Okay, so I'm again looking at this and I already see that this has side, side, side similarity, or sorry, congruence, because it's three sides that are the same length. So triangle RNP is congruent to triangle PQR by side, side, side congruence. So then we can say angle N is congruent to angle Q by Cpctc. Okay, so that's just congruent parts of congruent triangles are congruent, I'm sorry, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay, now we're going to use that in a proof. So we're building on what we did yesterday again. And so we have this proof. So first we need to prove the triangles are congruent. Then we're going to use that to prove that a part of the triangle that is not labeled is congruent. Okay? See if I can scoot that down a little bit so we can see it. Okay. So we would like to prove that angle N is congruent to angle P. So we first have our given here, and then we have another given. And then remember from yesterday, when it's the same thing equal to itself, that's this third side right here, and that is the reflexive property. Okay, and now we can write a congruence statement for these triangles. So triangle PMO is congruent to triangle NMO, and it's by side, side, side congruence. And then therefore, we can say that angle N and angle P are congruent by Cpctc, which again is corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. And so that just means that once you've proved congruence using one of our theorems or postulates for two triangles, then you can say that all the parts of that triangle are congruent, because that's what a congruent triangle means. It means they're exactly the same. So all those corresponding parts that we talked about the other day, those all would be congruent. So there's 6 statements you could make about each triangle once you've proved they're congruent. Okay? Please email me if you have questions. Give the assignment a try, and we will see you next time.